Now let's get you the latest update coming from Bihar at this point in time. Shocking visuals we've got for you from Buxar in Bihar. Locals say that over 150 bodies have been thrown on the banks of River Ganga. In fact, these bodies are likely to be washed downstream, and stray dogs will feed on them, and this can further lead to spread of the virus. A really sad state of affairs as far as Bihar is concerned.
And there has been talk of starting breeding programs with flesh-eating turtles that can deal with decomposing bodies in the water.
Millions of Hindus will be swimming in the Ganges this week for the annual Magh Mela festival, just as they have for years. But it's not a pleasant swim. The Ganges is one of the world's most polluted rivers. That isn't just a problem for swimmers. More than 500 million people depend on the Ganges as their main source of water. And despite a multi-billion-dollar cleanup initiative that India announced in 2014, the river hasn't gotten any safer for them.
We have come to see the beautiful Ganga here, to experience its warmth that is giving it to us.
Tell me about the spiritual significance that you feel.
It cannot be said, it is to be felt.
For India's nearly 1 billion Hindus, who believe that if a body is burned and returned to the river at Varanasi, it can escape reincarnation. The Ganges is one of the most sacred places on earth, but it's also one of the most polluted.
Oh, dear Jesus. You can smell it. How much sewage is coming out there right now?
150 million liters per day.
How many people's sewage is that?
1 million.
So that's the shit of 1 million people flowing into the Ganga every day.
Yeah. This is just one drain.
Environmental scientist Rakesh Jaiswal has been campaigning for a cleaner Ganges for 25 years.
Today, Ganga is more polluted than it was 30 years ago. And last 24 years, I have seen the situation worsening only. No improvement at all.
In total, drains along the Ganges empty 1 billion gallons of raw sewage and industrial waste into the river every day. Decomposing bodies make their way into the water from riverside crematoriums. And in Kanpur, hundreds of tanneries release toxic chemicals and heavy metals into the river, which is the city's source of water.
Half of Kanpur city, including me, was getting drinking water from River Ganga. The water there was highly contaminated, containing city wastewater and also a contaminated discharge from TB hospital, tuberculosis hospital.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, contaminated water puts the population at risk of disease, including cholera, typhoid, and viral diarrhea.
Why aren't there processing centers or water treatment facilities or infrastructure basically to...
This is the inability and inefficiency of the government.
In 2014, Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced Namami Gange, a $3 billion cleanup initiative. The government commissioned an official pop anthem for the river, and there has been talk of starting breeding programs with flesh-eating turtles that can deal with decomposing bodies in the water. But Namami Gange never took off. 3 years later, reports say that just $205 million has been spent, and India's top environmental court declared it a failure, saying, quote, "Not a single drop has been cleaned so far."
3 years are already gone, and there is nothing concrete on the ground.
Not even one waste management facility?
Not even one new treatment plant.
In March 2017, a court in Uttarakhand took the matter into its own hands and gave the Ganges legal personhood status.
What does giving a river the status of personhood do for the river?
Theoretically, what it can do is just like a legal entity can sue somebody.
But there were no lawsuits. Shortly after the Ganges became a legal person, the Supreme Court intervened and stopped it.
Giving a legal right or a legal status by itself will mean nothing.
Shadan Farasat is a Supreme Court lawyer. He says that giving the Ganges the right to sue polluters has some logical issues, and not just because a river can't represent itself in court.
It doesn't really emphasize how that status of a juristic or legal personality is going to help in cleaning up the river or improving the ecosystem of the river. That analysis is completely absent from the judgment.
So is it purely symbolic?
I would think so. It's the court trying to clean up the river but with the wrong tool.
When the personhood order was scrapped, a legal route to forcing government action was closed. But not everyone is worried about the toxic waste and sewage that continue to pour into the Ganges. There's a persistent myth among the public and even scientists that the river is so holy, it's essentially self-cleaning.
If you drink the water, then it will help in improvement of your health.
B.D. Tripathi is a professor and former expert for the National Ganga River Basin Authority, the agency responsible for overseeing the implementation of Modi's cleanup program. He is surprisingly optimistic about the situation.
If you increase the flow into the water, then 60 to 80% organic pollution problem will be automatically resolved.
Really?
Yes.
You believe that the river Ganga can heal itself if there's more water in the river Ganga?
Of course, 100% true. If water is there, if flow is maintained, Ganga will solve its own pollution problem. Dilution is the solution of pollution.
So we can still
Simply,
dump sewage into tannery waste?
Yes.
Tripathi's belief in the Ganges' power is misplaced. Industrial waste accumulates in the environment over time and can't simply be diluted. Still, the river's pollution isn't stopping people from going to the Ganges to be cleansed.
So you're not sort of bothered by the pollution?
No, not good.
Have you guys taken a dip?
I can go do it right now. I'm so fond of Ganga.
You would hop in right now?
Yeah, I love Ganga.